Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 11 of our F125 My Team career mode. Yes, this weekend we return for the Austrian Grand Prix, of course, here at the Red Bull Ring. If you missed out on the videos that went live yesterday, I would highly recommend going back and checking them out. Of course, from now on, this series is just going to be one video a day throughout the rest of Season 1. So I apologise to those of you that were enjoying the double uploads, but again, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for the continued support inside this series. Of course, I don't know why we can't do any events at the moment. Apparently we can, I'm just not looking at it correctly. But of course, yeah, if you missed out, obviously, on the Spanish Grand Prix that obviously went live yesterday, quite an interesting one, a very, very good race that I would highly recommend going back and checking out. And of course, obviously, if you want early access to all of these videos as well, do consider please clicking that join button down below. It costs just £1 a month, and you massively help kind of support us here. YouTube can be inconsistent at the best of times. Taking a look, though, at the World Championship standings, you can see Lando Norris still 41 clear of Max Verstappen. The Dutchman, though, has been building some momentum recently, finishing ahead of Lando Norris in the last 4 Grand Prix in a row. So are we now just starting to see a little bit of a bottle coming out from Lando Norris? Perhaps. We will have to give it time to see what happens. Something I completely forget to keep checking on is the current performance of the car. As you can see, Red Bull now at the top, just ahead of Ferrari and McLaren. But we have pretty much caught up to Kick Sauber as well, and V-Carb. So we're actually doing pretty well this season with getting some developments on the car. What I'm doing is I'm giving Hauger all the upgrades first, and then we get access to the upgrades myself. Then I'm doing them as well. So that's kind of working for us at this stage of the season. But yeah, without further ado then, of course, it's a sprint weekend. We've got a lot of racing to get through, so let's head into sprint quali.
High up in the mountains here at Spielberg, it's time for qualifying on what will be the fastest laps of the season. Stand by for qualifying at the Austrian Grand Prix.
Well, I feel like I've had a real Mandela effect heading into Austria this weekend. This race isn't a sprint weekend anymore, and I feel like I never saw this announced or anything. 5 of them, I believe, are exactly the same as they were last year, but Austria has been replaced by Belgium as a sprint, so I guess I'm not going to complain about that too much because, well, I love the Belgian Grand Prix circuit, and I'm always looking to drive more of it, but yeah, just completely kind of took me off guard. I had to actually Google it and check, because I was adamant that Austria was still a sprint race in 2025, so my bad there. Perhaps that's why we've got Austria as a reverse track in this game, because I don't think they would have wanted to throw in kind of a reverse sprint weekend into the mix. For those of you asking as well, yes, reverse tracks will be implemented, ready for Season 2. You just can't add them in your first season of career mode inside F125. But first lap though so far, feeling a little bit sloppy. I've been recording a few races from the Aston Martin career mode, and that thing, it's certainly got a lot more front-end bite than the My Team car does inside this game right now. But having a lot of fun with both series, of course, very, very different to one another there, as through the final corner of this first run, it is only going to be a 106.3. Somehow we still go P12, even though that lap felt terrible. Well, I'm sure we will find out at some point quite soon whether sub 1 minute lap times are going to be doable inside F125. But for now then, we have got one more opportunity here in qualifying. We are currently still in the top 15. And of course we know how quickly times can change here in this session. So trying to make sure that we get another improvement on the board. Like I said, definitely feels like there's going to be lap time in it. For example, the end of Sector 2, through the double left-hander, I felt like I messed that up quite badly. But obviously still using all my own custom setups, Matum2 Racing. There's a link down in the description if you want to use the setups for yourself. I am sharing them daily over on that channel. But about a quarter of a second up then, by the time we get through to the end of Sector 2, 4/10 up now. So maybe a bit like Monaco, this is going to be a circuit where we've got some very competitive pace, still running a little bit wide through the end of Sector 2, but if we can get ourselves into the top 10, that'll be rather confidence-inspiring. Here we go, getting towards the drop zone now though, but like I said, we've got plenty of time in the back pocket. I'm sure we can afford to drop a couple of tenths if we don't absolutely nail it through the final turn, though. That's felt like a pretty hooked up lap. It's going to be a 105.6. We go P7. Well, there we go then, in a British sandwich there between George Russell and current championship leader Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton, though, leading the way here in Q1. But we make it very safely through into Q2. There are quite a few tenths spare if we needed it as well. Both kick Saubers, Jack Doohan, Hauger, Albert and Isaac Hadjar out of the session. But could we make Q3? Well, of course, only one fresh set of tyres then into Q2. So we're just going to go for one Banzai qualifying lap here right at the end of the session. Current cut-off point is about a 105.8. So I'm hoping we might be able to see ourselves into Q3. But there are quite a few drivers that could improve. You see Fernando Alonso there down in P13. Oscar Piastri, I believe, is currently the man right on the cusp of the drop zone, as well as Max Verstappen is only in about P9. So, you know, I'm expecting to see some times tumble by the end of the session. Hamilton fastest again, though, on a 104.9. I forgot to mention as well, we are potentially going to see some changeable conditions as we head into the race. So how might that affect things as we get through the rest of the weekend there? But I'll throw in the car through the exit of Sector 2. Have to brake a little bit early into here now. You really do feel the weight kind of throw the front end out wide. See these cars super heavy. Formula 1 machines, but we are seeing more improvements then coming from other drivers. So no idea kind of what the cut-off point is now. Down in towards the final few turns. There, just try and keep it between the white lines. A little bit of a wobble on the transition between the first and the second part, but it's going to be a 5-4. We go P5. And there we go then. I mean, we are mixing it up with the top drivers today, and I don't really know how. I'm still running 110 AI and everything else there, but Hamilton fastest yet again, like we said. Ollie Behrman there getting knocked out thanks to my improvement right at the end of the session. George Russell fails to see Q3, but Kimi Antonelli does. Well, everybody here able to get their laps pretty dialed in. I certainly don't think we're going to be in the fight for pole position like we were back in Monte Carlo, but if we can just go higher than Gasly and Tsunoda, I will be very happy. They're both on, I believe, 105.5s, so we're just going to really try and sweat this lap and make sure we leave nothing on the table there. Fourth gear through turn 1, really try and lean on that exit curb. Well, it's not like our F1 Classic career mode. We've got to be very careful of track limits up the hill. Get on the anchors about the 100-meter board already for turn 3. We get a little bit of a slipstream off of the McLaren car in front as well. Nice and tidy up over the top of the crest. And now we are descending all the way down for the rest of the lap as well there. A little bit wide. Didn't quite meet the apex through turn 4. But this is just kind of reminding me of Lando Norris when he almost took pole here back in 2021 in kind of the midst of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton's championship epic. Whoa, a big slide there. Luckily, the car grips back up. Charles Leclerc, what is that? A 104.2, a ridiculous lap time coming from the Ferrari man right at the end of the session. Last weekend's winner, of course, in Montreal, but through the final corner then, it is going to be a 105.2 again. Only P9. That's a little bit disappointing. Well, there we are. Ferrari back to 1-2 last weekend in Montreal. This time round, they've qualified 1 and 2 here in Austria. Max Verstappen will line up just behind them, alongside Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri, I'm sure he'll be a bit disappointed down in P7. I think we could have got the better of the Australian and Yuki Tsunoda, but we did pretty well to make Q3. I can't ask for too much.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve. It was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of around 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill of turn 3. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Norris, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Sainz. Piastri, Tsunoda, Voisin, and Pierre Gasly. Behrman, Russell, Esteban Ocon, and Lawson. Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Isaac Hadjar, and Alex Albon. Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, Doohan, and Dennis Hauger rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And alongside me today, former Formula One driver and former world champion too. See, told you I'd give you a big intro. Anthony Davidson, hello. In Formula One, Ant, we take every race as it comes, and there's always another race next week. But some milestones are worth thinking about. And this, double figures now for our new team.
Yeah, the team's 10th appearance. They've done well to this point. They're getting their foot through the door, but there's a lot more to come. Much tougher tracks where you've got to get even more performance out of your car.
Well, it's actually our 11th race in the sport, and of course we've already had a win to our name, so I don't think Anthony Davidson and Crofty can try and talk down on us too much here. But there we are then, confirmation that we are meant to see rain towards the end of the GP today. How might that throw up a surprise by the end of the afternoon? I want to start the race on mediums, then I want to take the hard tyres a little bit deeper into the race, and hopefully then we'll make the switch over to the inters for the final stint. We might even need to switch to full wets depending on what happens, but this is Austria. Anything can happen around this circuit. We've got a lot of cars around me. On the hards, we've got 5 red lights here on the grid. And we have got racing then. Oscar Piastri, almost into the back of him, just going nowhere off the start. The same for Lando Norris, as both McLarens struggle to get the power down. You can see Tsunoda there going 3 wide with Norris and Kimi Antonelli. They just get away with a little bit of contact there as we try to have a look around the outside of Carlos Sainz 3 wide as they make their way up the hill there. We don't have quite the straight line speed to keep up with the car in front. In fact, Pierre Gasly takes an opportunity to try and have a look back past us there, so we will go around the outside of Kimi and Carlos there and just like get ahead of the pair of them. We did have yellow flags out, and clearly I've got far too much downforce on this car. We are so unbelievably slow in a straight line there. I didn't feel like it was a problem in qualifying, but apparently it is going to be an issue early on in the race there as Yuki Tsunoda, Lando Norris still wheel to wheel as we plunge down the hill in towards these final few corners there. But up into P6 then off the start of the Grand Prix. I would take some more points early on this season. You know, as we get towards half distance, we really have kind of established ourselves now as the new team on the block, but I feel like we're doing pretty well still early on. Ferrari though, Charles Leclerc leading by the end of lap 1. Hamilton's been jumped by Verstappen, but he will try and stick with him as best as he can. Could we see a repeat of 2019? Well, honestly, the first 5 or 6 laps or so in this race felt like a bit of a cheat code inside F1 25. It really felt like the old F1 24 strats of obviously trying to sit in the DRS of the faster car in front was working well for us. Annoyingly, Yuki Tsunoda now has got his act together and has actually jumped Lewis Hamilton in this race, so we're coming under increasing pressure from Kimi Antonelli. In fact, we're not under pressure anymore, we're just getting overtaken by the Italian there as up through the hairpin at the top of the hill. Are we going to be able to get the power down on the exit? No, Antonelli there, massively superior traction off the corner. We're already starting to struggle on these tyres. Felt like I've worked him very hard. But Kimi, I'm happy for you to tow me along as well. Well, now we've lost the DRS range to Kimi Antonelli as well. I can't bear to imagine how bad the soft compound tyre must be around this circuit, because these mediums are feeling very second-hand after just 10 laps here. I've spoke about it many times before inside this game, but you do not want to really take the tyres anywhere up past 60%, so I think we're going to have to peel into the pit lane at the end of lap 10 here. It is much, much earlier than I was originally hoping to pit in this Grand Prix, but I think it's a necessary evil as we make our way then into the box. We're going to be the first car of the day in, and well, yeah, sometimes you just get races where your pace is fantastic. You know, our pace has been really good here, but that comes at the cost, of course, of the tyre wear. So that has been a real limiting factor early on in this GP. hard tyres going on.
Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Oh, we're going to come out right in a pack of cars as well, including our teammate Dennis Hauger. We might be saying goodbye to Dennis in a couple of races' time if we can get Isaac Hadjar into the team. If that looks likely, I might have to do our last race as Hauger here. Mix it up just for one time only. But I mean, what on earth is going on? By the time we get up towards the top of the hill there, Hauger's got nothing on the exit of the corner. And with the DRS, it's still going to make it quite difficult for us to get a run on him. Down the inside, though, we will look. Don't lock up the brakes and run to the side of Gabriel Bortoletto there. I really did panic for a split second. Well, there we go. Lance Stroll into the pit lane, so that's still rather early. Oh, in this Grand Prix is Bortoletto there. Very, very slow. Got caught up behind Isaac Hadjar, so we will say thank you very much. And hopefully we're going to be able to get a run on Isaac then back in towards T1. Actually able to do it there.
No need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
Not quite sure what was going on with Hadjar, but he kind of decided to go defensive at the last moment. And then decided to really sit on the apex there. So around the outside, I'm not going to complain if he's going to give it to me. But this might genuinely be the worst race we've seen for tyre wear so far this season. I don't know whether the high temperature here at Austria is having an effect as well, but even hard compound runners are having to peel into the pit lane then. Sonoda's dived in. He's now gone over to mediums. What on earth is causing this today? Liam Lawson then doing quietly brilliant so far inside F125, I must say. But are we about to relegate him back down into 10th place then? I think we should. On the run in turn 1 there. Yeah, not really in our fight at the moment this weekend, Liam. He will keep the DRS for himself though, so he might try and come back at us to make our way up the hill. Is Liam Lawson going to be able to go for it? Yes, he is. We'll try and give him a big old squeeze up towards the top of the hill there. We'll try and move back across into the braking zone, and now we'll claim the DRS and the position.
We think we might see some rain. ETA about 15 minutes.
Here we go then. That's going to start making things interesting. Rain in about 15 minutes in this GP, as I think Oscar Piastri's got damage in front, because he is really struggling as well right now. But could we see a switch back to another set of mediums quite soon? If I don't think these hards will make it to the wet period. They are on, what are they on? Oh, only 17% wear, so the hards are actually pretty good. Well, Carlos Sainz is running over half a second a lap quicker than me at the moment, but we're going over a second a lap quicker than Oscar Piastri. So I don't think he's got any front wing damage on the right-hand side of his car, so we'll try and see if we can overtake him on the left. See if we can see an end plate missing. No, everything's there. So really not too sure what's going on with Oscar right now. Because, yeah, like I said, he's one of the only cars that we're actually quicker than on circuit. But I guess we're back up into P8. But I've only just noticed, I think Russell, Piastri and Max Verstappen, I think they're all trying to one-stop this race. So they're still on their original set of the hard compounded tyre. Now, they shouldn't be absolutely destroyed yet, but they're certainly not going to be very fun to drive on. So that might explain why we've got such a weird pace difference between various drivers in this Grand Prix. We could close in on Russell pretty soon. Surely they're not trying to go to the wet period. There we go. As soon as I talk about it, George Russell then into the pit lane there. I believe Verstappen has also come through. So will we see Piastri? Yes, we will. So there we go then, Oscar Piastri. That is a very brave call in this Grand Prix. Russell then trying to go to the end. 14 laps or 15 laps on a set of mediums shouldn't be impossible for him, especially as the fuel is burning down. But yeah, we just got to monitor that gap to Carlos Sainz. Under 6 seconds, the Williams man is flying along.
Okay, expect to see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
Oh, the team are delaying when they think the rain's going to roll in. I think we'll see a switch back to the mediums for the final stint of this Grand Prix. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I mean, we know if it starts raining, it's really not going to take long before we get the crossover. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. Well, the team have told me I need to dive into the pit lane now. There you go. But Dennis Hauger is still in the box, so I'm hoping I just double check with him. No, I don't want to move the brake bars around, thank you. I was going to try and box pit confirm, but they know I'm meant to be coming in. Hopefully we're not going to get held up with a slow stop or anything like that. Oh, you idiot. This race has been going so well, too well. I knew I had to do something stupid. right towards the end of it there. A 10-second penalty for speeding on entry. That might cost us a couple of spots by the end of the afternoon. I mean, it's a slow stop as well. Of course it is. 5.3 seconds. I love F1 25.
We need to try these tyres through to the end now. Let's finish this race strong.
We're getting Mark and Mark there talking over each other on the radio, but Ocon trying to hold up Carlos Sainz. The gap is down to less than 4 seconds to Carlos, so I think unless something crazy happens with the weather, he's probably going to get the better of me. So annoyed.
Okay, even though we're seeing cars start to struggle in these conditions, if we pit for inters now, we're going to be too slow and we'll burn them out. Make the best of it for the time being.
I can't even see the rain when we were slip sliding around, but it's definitely started to fall then around this circuit. Just starting to see a couple of sprinkles here and there, but that was scary coming out of Sector 2. Oh, this rain is, I mean, you can't see it. This is the problem. Dennis Hauger's in us. There we go. Starting to see a few proper splashes on the screen. And now the water shows up. But how weird is that? I mean, this whole weekend has been weird. But how weird is it that you can't see the rain? But you can certainly feel it in the car. I'm going to make the call immediately. I don't feel confident on the dry tyre anymore. And I'd rather be down the order and quick than up the order and slow towards the end of this Grand Prix. This might be a terrible call. It might cost us a chance at points here late on in the Grand Prix. Oh, safety car! No! Oh wait, no, we'll serve the penalty. Yes, that's fantastic. I don't know whether this works or not for us. I think it works for me. Because we have nailed the timing of that then, if we can serve this penalty. Which we can! So we're going to be on a fresh set of intermediates then, with a handful of laps to go. Everybody else might be on dry tyres for the end of this race. And I had a clip a few years ago, but I accidentally nailed a strategy here at Austria. I might just have done it again.
Now let's get some heat.
What? Safety car's coming in? Sorry? No, Esteban, Pierre even go.
Safety car in this
What's
lap.
he doing?
Safety car in this lap. Let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature. And remember, there's no overtaking until the timing line. Stay in position until the green flags.
Well, if we had nailed this, we certainly haven't now, because it hasn't let everybody catch back up to the front of the order here, and Pierre Gasly is holding me up horrendously. I mean, Yuki Tsunoda's gone, no idea what's happened to him.
Serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
Can I go past him? I've gone past Pierre Gasly. I don't know whether I was allowed to or what, but either way, the rain is starting to fall here towards the end of the afternoon, but annoyingly, we're basically a lap down now to Max Verstappen at the front of the order. We have definitely nailed the call to make the switch over to the intermediates. Ollie Behrman, though, is certainly going to be the car in the last points paying position, so we might still score this afternoon. But as I said at the start, this weekend easily has been one of the weirdest I've ever had on this game. And suddenly we're up to 10th.
Okay, clear.
Well, this has got to be one of the weirdest races I've ever had inside F1 25. But Esteban Ocon, we need to be going 5 seconds a lap faster than him. We need that gap to be under 5 seconds by the end of this lap if we want to get to him. And honestly, looking at it at the moment, I think we will. Carlos Sainz as well is losing bags of time. Imagine if in all of this we still beat the Williams, man. That would be pretty good going. And well, I feel like, yeah, had the safety car backed the pack up for one extra lap, we could have been in the fight for the win today, but ultimately, you know, can't ask for too much inside this series there. We nailed the call, though. As soon as it starts raining on this game, you want to be onto a set of intermediates there. Esteban Ocon, he clearly has given up with the medium tyre. And yeah, we are therefore going to be up then into P9. The gap to Carlos Sainz, 8 seconds up the road. We could still get to him by the end of this lap there. It looks like Behrman now has tried to brave it for the final points paying position in the other Haas car, but it wouldn't surprise me if Ocon gets back past him here on the last lap. Max Verstappen, though, whilst all this has been going on, he's going to take the victory here at the Red Bull Ring. A rather scary end to the afternoon, but the Dutchman absolutely controlling the pace, got to the lead early on and never really looked back. We are just focused on the gap to Carlos Sainz in front of me. It is coming down rapidly as we make our way in towards the final few corners of this race. Ocon has moved back past, I think it was one of the V-carbs, into P11. So it's going to be the battle between him and Behrman for that final point there, but the gap to Sainz under 3 seconds now. But I don't think we're quite going to have enough by the end of the GP, unless he is super slow through these final couple of corners. We are sending it through. It's not going to be enough, though. Carlos Sainz will hang on. We will score points, though, in P9.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen, he takes victory.
It was a joy to watch today, honestly, because the driver was clearly able to read the conditions well on track, to use the information properly from the team, and usually come up with the right solution at the right time.
Only 3 can take to the podium, and here they come. But there can only be one on the top step. Your number 1, Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then. Max Verstappen from P3 on the grid will take victory here at the Austrian Grand Prix. 7 seconds clear of his main title rival, Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc ahead of Lewis Hamilton in 3rd and 4th there, and you can see just how much the gap spread out as the rain continues to fall at the end. Antonelli, Kimi, Antonelli, a great drive to P5 ahead of Russell, Piastri, Sainz, myself and Esteban Ocon did get the jump back on Ollie Behrman in the end there. So I think we were going to get past Esteban anyway, so we didn't really lose anything by opting for the intermediate there. Liam Lawson, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Bortoletto, Albon, Hadjar, Hauger, Doohan and Stroll all ended up a lap down, and Yuki Tsunoda, the only driver to not see the checkered flag. He is still classified though, 3 laps down in the end. 34, the gap between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen now at the top of the table, so the Dutchman is certainly just eating away at that margin at this stage of the campaign, and we might have a bit of a reverse of what happened in 2024. Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli jumped me, so we are now effectively best of the rest, if you will, again in this championship in P9. You can see Ocon now tied with Alonso behind us, and Sainz there inching away from his teammate Alexander Albon. Ollie Behrman, gutted for him, missed out on his first points of the year as well. Williams just 3 points behind us now in the Constructors, as Mercedes 100 clear. They are in so much no man's land. It's actually quite impressive from the Brackley-based squad so far this year. Thank you all so much for watching though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the British Grand Prix.